Did Deliverance not just shock audiences but shatter Hollywood's image of masculinity when it was released in '72? And what does it reveal about its star, Burt Reynolds? Stick around, because what we uncover might change how you view both the film and its iconic lead actor. Deliverance, directed by John Boorman, doesn't just take us on an adventure, it dissects masculinity itself. When Deliverance came out, Burt Reynolds was the epitome of the rugged, fearless action star. But this film flips that image on its head, leaving us with questions about strength, vulnerability, and what it really means to be a man. I'll be breaking down its most powerful moments, and trust me, the final takeaway might just change your perspective on masculinity in cinema forever. In 1972, societal expectations of masculinity were rigid. Men were expected to be stoic, strong, and never show vulnerability. Even the softer image of men in the 1960s counterculture wasn't free from elements of machismo and toxicity, showing that the pressure to conform to certain ideals of masculinity was pervasive. Burt Reynolds wasn't just another actor. He was a cultural icon, embodying the tough, unflinching hero. His Playgirl centerfold around that time cemented his status as a sex symbol, reinforcing this image of effortless confidence and strength. This public persona set up a powerful expectation, but in Deliverance we see this image deconstructed in a way that forces both him and the audience to confront a deeper, rawer form of masculinity. The film throws a group of suburban men into the wilderness, testing not only their survival skills, but also their deepest fears and insecurities. It asks, what happens when the facade of toughness is peeled away? How do men confront vulnerability when stripped of their societal armour? Now, here's something to think about. Have our views on masculinity truly evolved since then, or do we still see echoes of these expectations in our lives today? Let's dive into the characters' journeys, starting with Burt Reynolds' Lewis. From the outset, Lewis is the embodiment of traditional masculinity, confident, dominant, and determined to prove his survival skills. His famous line,
"Sometimes you have to lose yourself before you can find anything,"
captures his belief that facing the wilderness is the ultimate test of manhood. But here's where the film pulls the rug out from under us. When Lewis is injured and incapacitated, his facade of invincibility collapses. Suddenly, the man who seemed unbreakable becomes vulnerable, forcing the group to face the stark reality that even the strongest among them can fall. Then there's Jon Voight's character, Ed, whose transformation becomes the focus of the film. At first, Ed is hesitant, almost overshadowed by Lewis's bravado. He doesn't fit the mould of the heroic man, reflecting a more subdued, internalized struggle with his own masculinity. But as the story progresses, Ed is forced into a role of leadership, pushing him to confront his fears and take on responsibilities that redefine his sense of self. This internal battle sets up one of the most intense and defining moments of the film, which we'll discuss in more detail shortly. Now let's break down 3 pivotal scenes that expose the fragility of their masculine ideals. First, the infamous Canoe sequence and the assault that follows. Even by today's standards, it's raw and brutal. This moment shatters their perception of control and dominance. For Ed, witnessing this horrific event is a turning point, forcing him to see that their notions of strength are illusions in the face of real danger. The second key scene, the Cliffside Ambush, serves as Ed's defining moment. Armed with a bow, Ed climbs a cliff, a literal and metaphorical ascent to confront his fears. As he scales the cliff, we see a man stepping into a role he neither sought nor wanted. When he finally takes the shot, it's not celebrated as a victory. It's portrayed as a tragic, gut-wrenching necessity. This moment isn't about becoming a hero. It's about the loss of innocence and the moral complexities of survival. What makes this scene so powerful is how it forces the viewer to confront a grim reality. Strength isn't always about overpowering others. Sometimes it's about confronting the darkness within ourselves. Finally, there's the dining room scene at the guest house, where Ed and Bobby are staying while awaiting their release by the police. In this starkly quiet moment, Ed breaks down, overwhelmed by the psychological scars of their ordeal. The guest house setting mirrors his inner turmoil, caught between the wilderness and a return to normality. Here, he finally allows himself to be vulnerable. Here's a haunting reminder that trauma doesn't simply vanish when the immediate danger ends. This scene shows that the facade of stoic masculinity cracks under the weight of real human experience. Can we really call this strength? Or was it just an armour that was destined to shatter? So why does Deliverance still resonate today? Because it's not just a survival story. It's an unflinching examination of masculinity, fragility, and the masks men wear. By placing its characters in extreme situations, Deliverance forces us to question whether true strength lies in bravado or in facing our own vulnerabilities and fears. In our modern discussions about masculinity, Deliverance reminds us that the ideals of toughness and invincibility are illusions, ones that can be both damaging and liberating to break. Now I want to hear from you. How do you think Deliverance portrays masculinity, and do you believe its message still holds up today? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's start a conversation. And if you're into exploring films that challenge our perceptions, check out my video on another groundbreaking classic. Subscribe and let's keep diving deep into cinema together.